Hey everyone, with patch 12.18, Nunu is finally full, and to make sure your team never gets swallowed up by a single unit again, here are the top 5 comps you need to play in the new patch. And before we dive in, remember to make sure you check out the links in the description for the full guides for each of our comps. They have way more detail, more items, and you can use them alongside when you're playing in game. Now starting off, we have the infamous Guild Xayah 2.0. You guessed it, Xayah and her guild companions will probably stay around for another patch. What makes this comp so consistent is the built-in crowd control with that Xayah, Shyvana, Jace, Bard, Hecarim, Rakan, and Twitch. Now as a default leveling comp, it doesn't rely on any 3-star units, and you're going to level up at a pretty regular pace. So at level 7 you stabilize by fighting that copy of Xayah, you level up to 8, you complete your board by adding in Shyvana. It's pretty straightforward. Xayah is your main carry. Her best in-slot items are going to be Ginzu's Rageblade, Giant Slayer, and then Last Whisper. Your secondary carry is Shyvana. Her itemization is pretty flexible, to be honest. Utility is ideal though, so try to have something like Mobalytics, Archangel Staff, as well as Ionic Spark. The two frontliners, Jace and Hecarim, prefer anything defensive, but normally you'll throw these on Jace and he can use practically anything. Protector's Vow though is a really strong item to at least have on him. For your augments, it goes without saying that anything guild related, Heart, Crest, Crown, or getting your components, these are going to be instant picks, but Pressy Attack or Scorch, these will buff up our team and main carry's damage by a huge amount. So next up, we've got this comp that forced a B patch last time, called 200 Years. This comp blows up enemy boards by using the Cannoneers Graves, Aphelios Zeri, and Senna, as well as the Cavaliers Rel, Sejuani, and Hecarim. Now this is a default comp as well, so at level 7 you're going to be stabilizing by finding a copy of Graves normally to activate that for Cannoneers. Before jumping into our main carries and their itemization, we want to talk about Darkflight. So first things first, you always want to keep at least one item slot open on your Darkflight units. Secondly, get that Zeke's Herald on Senna as soon as possible and place her on the Darkflight Hex. Her sacrifice will provide our Cannoneers the attack speed needed to clean up enemy boards within seconds, and it's seriously overpowered. Then we have Aphelios, who wants Last Whisper to apply the Armor Shred, and ideally another Zeke's Herald on him as well. It's also worth mentioning that unlike other comps, you actually want to also play a second Aphelios copy on your board and make sure you have them all lined up together for that Zeke's buff. Finally, we have one of our biggest carries, Graves, who wants a Bloodthirster, an Edge of Night, and then a Hand of Justice ideally. Apart from the Cannoneers, we have the Cavaliers, so Rel and Hecarim, for the extra utility, and you can put any of your tank items onto them. For augments, one that's not used often, Better Together, it will boost that Zeke's Herald attack speed by a lot, and Cannoneer augments like Ricochet or Hotshot are obviously instant picks. Number 3 on our list is the Deja Cavalier. So this comp builds upon the Mirage trait, with that trait sharing Dragon Deja, Nunu, Yasuo, and Yone. As well as then you also have the tanky Cavaliers Hecarim, Rel, Sejuani in the front line. This is also a default leveling comp, so you're not going to need any 3-star units, you level up normally, and then at level 7 you try and find that Deja before going to level 8. Talking about the main carry, we'll quickly go through the itemization for them. So Deja is the main carry, the trait provider of the comp as well, and the best in slot is usually going to consist of Rageblade, Giant Slayer, and Archangel Staff. There are lots of items that can work here, and if the Mirage variation in play is Spell Sword's Enchantment, you want to switch up the Archangel Staff for a Jeweled Gauntlet. Nunu is your secondary carry, but unlike a Dragonmancer comp, he is a Mirage Cavalier this time, so he'll be our core frontliner. Send anything defensive his way. He's going to love Sunfire Capes, Warmog's Armor, Ionic Sparks as well. So lastly, we have Yasuo and Hecarim. These can make use of any leftover items and obviously prioritize your Yasuo, but in the best case you can make Yasuo a Cavalier and Hecarim a Mirage unit. That's also why you prefer any Mirage or Cavalier Hearts, Crest, or Crowns as augments because of these two units. As a third augment, you can also pick up something that helps most of your team like Hallucinate. Moving on to our number 2 spot, Aqua Mages. Now, you're probably pretty familiar with this comp from our last rundown, but with Soom and Mages being buffed, this comp is really good now. Soom, Neela, Sylas, Zoe, Seraphine, Zyra, and Malphite are all the units you need for this comp. It is another default leveling comp, and at level 7 you stabilize by finding that copy of your main carry and Lagoon Dragon Soom. As the main carry of the comp, he is 1 item for mana generation and 2 offensive items, so ideally you give him that blue buff and then a Mobalytics and something like a Jeweled Gauntlet. Neela is your secondary carry. As an assassin, she'll take care of the enemy backline with items like Bloodthirster, Giant Slayer, and Edge of Night. Lastly, we've got our beefy Bruiser and a mage tank Sylas. Now, Gargoyle Stoneplate, Warmog's Armor, Dragon's Claw, that will keep him alive the longest, but having multiple ZZ Rock portals actually works pretty well right now. Let's quickly jump into augments. Now, it goes without saying that you should pick any Lagoon, Crest and Crown to turn Silas into a Lagoon unit. If you see the trait-specific augments like Oasis or High Tide though, don't hesitate to grab them as well and commit yourself to that Lagoon adventure. Staying on the topic of Lagoon, the number one on our list is Pool Party, aka Seraphine Carry Comp. This comp is all about the perfect synergy between your most important trio, Seraphine, Graves and Pantheon. Unlikely trio I know, but with Seraphine's extra damage buff, Grave procs it 4 times for each bullet while Pantheon procs it with his ultimate. The Pool Party will host Seraphine, Graves Pantheon, Zeri Yasuo, Zac Rakan and Zyra. Now this one is a slow roll comp. You're going to need to get Seraphine 3-star at level 7 while staying above 50 gold every turn. Roll down each turn, stay above 50, get the Seraphine 3-star and then level afterwards. If you need to stabilize, don't be afraid to roll a little bit more aggressively and 2-star your entire board while also finding a copy of both Graves and Pantheon and then start to slowly roll after. Let's talk about Seraphine first. Since her ultimate buffs all of your units' auto attacks, Morellonomicon is by far your most important item. Then go for Spear of Shojin and also a Rabadon's Death Cap last. The second most important celebrity at the Pool Party is Graves. Give him items like Edge of Night, Bloodthirster, Last Whisper and he'll be carrying the team. Your third celeb, Pantheon, we want to mainly have tank items to stall the fight and keep the party going. Protector's Vow, another Bloodthirster, Titan's Resolve, that will be perfect on him usually. Other than that, if you've got some extra items, the only other guests to consider itemizing are Zeri and Zac. Make Zac support Pantheon with a second Protector's Vow or stack a Zeke's Herald, something like that onto Zeri to let Graves do more damage. For augments, you want to pick up any healing or item augments such as Thread of the Hunt, First Aid Kit, Better Together. These will all massively help keep your team alive. Now that is going to wrap up our 5 comps you have to play from our challenger experts. As always, let us know what you're playing and check out many more comps with full guides over on our website and even in our overlay. Link is down below.